Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Virtual Classroom, where we empower women to share their expertise and get paid for it.
Now, today we are going to be talking about how we can repurpose or leverage our existing content and then turn them into an online course. Interesting, huh? Okay, well, here's the thing. One of the common reasons why aspiring course creators get stuck is that they actually try to completely start from scratch. They tend to lose sight of what they currently have and therefore fail to leverage their existing assets. Think about it. If your car wouldn't start, how difficult is it to move a completely stale car on your own? And how much easier will it be if you have someone to help you push it and make it move? Right? So I'd like you to think of it this way. If you're going to do it entirely from scratch, it's going to be really tough, right? It can be tough. But if you are going to look at your existing materials, something that you can have as a starting point, then it's going to be a lot less easier and a lot less overwhelming. Because most people tend to start on a blank page when it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. And by doing so, you will be able to cut a lot of time on creating the content. And here's the thing too. A course is always a work in progress, and the best way to see the effectiveness of the content and whether or not your delivery is actually effective is by having your students complete your content. Now, this could be a whole lot of different conversation, could be a different discussion on its own, but really your students are the gold mine of feedback, right? So don't worry about the nitty-gritty part of your content because, again, you are going to go through a series of iterations in terms of delivering your course, okay? All right, so the question is, how can we turn your existing content into an online course? Well, think of any starting materials that you can work on. So this could be a video, an audio file, or any articles you have created in the past about your course topic. So for instance, if you are a speaker, this could be a keynote you delivered or a workshop that you did in the past, right? If you are, say for instance, an author, if you are an author, this could be a book that you have written in the past. Or if you're a consultant, this could be a series of slide decks that you have created and used in your client meetings, right? Now, if you're a coach, this could be one of maybe webinars that you have created in the past as well, or any webinars you have done in the past, right? Do you guys get the drift? Do you see where I'm going with this? All right, so when you're creating your online course, right, the creation of the content, I highly recommend that you go through your old stuff and list every single thing that you have, okay? Go through your content library, and then just look for anything on the subject that you have written, recorded, or created, okay? Pull up a file, could be a Google Doc, a Word document, however you want to do it, just pull it up and then just break down everything, right? Just list there everything that you have. Once you have your list on a Google Doc or a Word doc, then you can sort them out based on the content categories. So at this point, you should have already an idea of your course outline. That will allow you to really have that decision power to see if a content falls under a specific category, right? Now, these content categories, you can think of it like your milestones, right? Could be your milestones. Say, for instance, you're a coach, or maybe you're, a freelancer, And one of the milestones there, in order for you to get a client, is to ensure that you have an optimized social media profiles. So that could be one of your milestones, right? Optimize social media profiles. And so when you go through your content, you want to look at any of your existing content. You want to look at any form of content you have created about profile optimization. It could be video, audio, again, could be anything as long as it's, something that you've created in the past. Okay? So that's what I meant by content categories. And again, you will only know these content categories if you have a clear idea of how your course is structured. Make sense? Now, once you have sorted your content based on content categories, then the next point or the next step is really assess whether it's something you would have to include in your course or not. So this is the point where you would need to identify whether it's a need to know or a nice to know. And this is crucial because you don't just want to add fluff in your course content. This also allows you to think whether a particular content is needed in a certain module or not, right? Because let's be honest here. There's just a lot of information, right? There's just a lot of information that you may have or that you may able to find in your content library. And it doesn't mean that just because you have them, it needs to be included in the course. Because you would have to consider, right? You have to consider what your end goal is. Remember, you gotta be clear on your course's end results. So if that particular content does not help your students to really get closer to the end result, then it does not have to be included, right? But here's the caveat though. You can still repurpose that existing content. If you have them, you can still repurpose that existing content and turn that into a bonus, right? So, just an idea that you can still repurpose any single content that you might have about the subject that may not necessarily be included in your course, okay? Now, next up, after you have assessed or identified whether it's a need to know or a nice to know, then you would need to inject them in your course outline and organize that shit, okay? You would need to make sure that everything is sequenced in order, right? In chronological order, especially if you're teaching a step-by-step process. It has to be chronological, it has to be logical, it has to make sense, right? Now, once you've gotten that, all that really left for you to do is to flesh out the remaining content. Because now you have something that you can work on. It wouldn't feel that you're starting from scratch. You don't have an empty blank page right now. You have something that you can work on. Okay? Does that make sense? This is actually the same exact strategy that I used to help one of my clients. He actually did 2 30-day challenges in the past. And what he wanted to do is turn those 2 existing materials that he had, he wanted them to turn that into a course, a front-end product that's designed to not just generate front-end sales, but also bring, leads to his higher ticket program. You know what the result is? We were able to make over $5,000 in sales for a completely repurposed content. Not bad, huh? So if you want to get full dibs on how we made that happen, I just launched the 40 course creation framework. It's a course that I've created on the exact framework I use for my clients and for myself. I just launched that course on skills.com. So if you go to skills.com now and sign up, you can go ahead and take my course and all the other courses that we have there. We have everything on marketing, business, entrepreneurship, skills that you need in this digital world, and a lot of other amazing courses. So go ahead and sign up skills.com so you can take my course on 40 course creation framework. Perfect. This has been really fun, and thanks everybody for tuning in today. If you are vibing with this type of content, then go ahead and hit subscribe, and I'll see you next week on another course creation goodness here on the Virtual Classroom.